Wonderland, 1984, Pride and Prejudice, Breakfast of Champions, Persepolis, Anne of Green Gables, The Handmaid's Tale, A People's History of the U.S., and, if you can believe it, more. Please welcome Debbie Miller.
Thank you. So I did read this book growing up. I loved it. I think I had Scary Stories 1 and 2. And reading it again, the pictures, like they're just seared in my mind. So it was really interesting to go back and read it again. The first thing that struck me in the book was like this foreword by Alvin Schwartz. And right in the last paragraph, he says, when you're telling a scary story, the best way to speak is softly so that your listeners lean forward to catch your words. So just put a pin in that. And then the whole first section is, I think it's called Ah! And basically all of the stories, like something kind of weird happens and then like that's the whole thing, is you just scare the person next to you. And as I was reading this, I was remembering how much I loved to be scared as a kid. Like at sleepovers, we'd look in the mirror and like turn off the lights and go, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Did anyone else do that? Yeah. And used to watch like tons of horror movies in high school, and I loved it. And then I was thinking, I don't really like to be scared anymore because real life is actually like much scarier. But then I remembered I am really obsessed with watching true crime. And I was like, oh, this is just a continuation of my childhood. So I was thinking a lot about how we kind of like to be scared under certain controlled circumstances. So my song is actually inspired by one specific story. It's called The Hook. And if you haven't read it, I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis. It's only a page and a half. So Donald and Sarah, I don't know if they're on a date or something, but they go to the movies. They're riding in Donald's car, and they park up on a hill. Donald turns on the radio, and there's this news bulletin that like a murderer has escaped the local prison, and he has a hook for a hand. And Sarah's kind of like, let's get out of here. And Donald's like, but it's not that late. And like he wants to say parked in this kind of romantic spot. And she's like, can we go home, please? And he's like, girls are always scared of something. So he's kind of a D-bag. And he starts the car, and Sarah like thinks she hears a scraping or a scratching, but doesn't think it could be anything. And then they get to her house, and she invites him in for cocoa, which I thought was weird because it seemed like it wasn't going well between them. And then he's like, no, I have to leave. And then he comes out, and he sees the hook dangling off the car door. So that's the story. And you need to know that, otherwise my song won't make any sense. So this is a retelling of The Hook from Sarah's perspective.
Late last night, awake in bed, thoughts of monsters in my head. Pull the covers to my chest, way too scared to try to rest. Then this morning at the store, grabbing pasta from aisle 4, a doofy guy looked my way. He smiled right at me, then said, hey. Donald is my name, he said. I like pasta too, and then asked me for my Instagram and slid his way into my DMs. I should have walked away, I know, but I was lonely, and so it goes What would be the harm anyway of going out on a little date? He picked the movie Scream number 6. Not my choice, but I went with it. Lights went down and phones on mute. In the dark, he was a little cute. Afterwards, he took me to a place to park. Wait. A place to park to make a move. My unease began to creep in, and then came a news bulletin. A psycho killer with a hook had escaped from a jail not far away. I pleaded with Donald to take me home, but he brushed me off. Shocking, I know. It's only 10 o'clock, he whined. Plus getting up here was a really big climb. Then I'll get out right here, I replied, and everyone will know you're the reason that I died. Fine, he said, girls are so afraid. I crossed my arms and thought I heard a scrape. It's probably nothing, I told myself, as I gripped on tightly to the seatbelt. When he pulled up to my street, I don't know what came over me. Maybe I just like a thrill. I invited him in to Netflix and chill. Yeah, no thanks, I think I've changed my mind. And he walked round to the passenger side, and just as he came to open my door, he fainted and fell right onto the floor. I turned around and then I saw a hook was dangling off the car door. And then a funny thought crossed my mind. I wondered if that hook guy needed a ride. So I left Donald right where he was and took his car, mostly because I was lonely still. And if I'm honest, this hook guy couldn't be worse than the monster I was with.
Debbie Miller. Debbie, got a favorite adverb?